Hello, and thank you for writing the third and final essay for this experiment. The title of the essay was "What are the advantages and disadvantages of consumerism?" Looking at your essay, I can see once again that you have given a very clear outline and structure to your essay. You have a very clear introduction. You have clarified your advantages and disadvantages by use of paragraphs. In each of those paragraphs, you have included your opinion, reason, and example, following that very clear structure. And you have finally concluded with a summation and conclusion of what you have talked about and included your own opinions. What you have said, the content of your essay is very relevant to the question. You have definitely answered the question. You've included a lot of your opinions and your own, what I can assume are personal experiences for examples, which is very good. So now let's take a look at the wording and pay close attention to the discourse markers that you've used, please. Nowadays, the consumerism has grown a lot. There are plenty of advantages and disadvantages. In other words, that means there are items you might use and some you don't need. Okay, so the sentence that you've just said, there are plenty of advantages and disadvantages, and then you carry on by saying in other word. First of all, there is a little grammar issue with other word, this word. We usually use this in the form of plural. We say the plural form of in other, especially word. So if you would correct that, please. And in other word, the corrected form is the same as that means. So I've put this in italics, basically suggesting that we might not need to repeat something twice, because this discourse marker and this discourse marker both have the same function in this sentence. So it might be an idea to delete one of them. There are items you might use and some you don't need. Okay. In my opinion, very good. Please don't forget the punctuation. I think there are too many people who just waste some time in shopping. Again, we've started with in my opinion, which is very good. You're preparing the reader for your own opinion and your own belief on this aspect. And then you've continued by saying, I think. Now, I think and in my opinion are basically the same thing. They have the same function. So once again, can I suggest that we delete one of them and we only keep one of the discourse markers. Now, usually in everyday conversation when people speak, you might find, yes, people might say, in my opinion, I think. But because we're writing an academic style of essay, it's an academic and formal way of writing, we try not to repeat ourselves. So deleting one of them might be a good idea and just keeping one discourse marker, because they're both doing the same thing, really. The problem is the connection time between the trains or your friend who's a little too late. For example, so you've given your opinion, now you're giving the example. I'll go at home and I miss my train and I have to wait an hour. So I go in the shops, since there is more comfortable than outside, and like usually everyone buys something. Also, if it's just a bottle to drink or a small gadget you saw in the shop. Okay, so this is quite a long sentence. It starts all the way from, for example, and it finishes at shop. So an idea might be to, if you can, to see if you can cut it down maybe, or to include a full stop and maybe break up the sentence. And that's the beauty of using discourse markers, in that we can break up the sentence, use a discourse marker to connect the sentences together. So we've started off by saying, for example, which is correct. Please pay attention to the punctuation that you've used after, for example. You've used a colon. So if you would kindly correct the punctuation there, please. I'll go at home and I miss my train and I have to wait an hour. So, giving a result or a consequence, I go in the shops. Obviously, I don't want to wait for an hour outside, so I go in the shops, which is fine. Let's not forget the punctuation, please. Since there is more comfortable, absolutely. You have given a discourse marker that is giving the reason for the action you've just talked about. Since there is more comfortable, yes, absolutely. To buy something. Also, if it's just a bottle to drink or a small gadget you saw in the shop. Yes. So please don't forget the punctuation here as well, please. Now, with the punctuation, with the discourse marker that you've used here, myself, I'm not entirely sure if this also refers to buy something or if also refers to the following part of the sentence, which is it's just a bottle to drink. So would you kindly clarify the also, does it refer to the previous or the following part of the sentence? Yes. I additionally think, very good. So not only have you said, I think you're giving your opinion, but you're giving an extra opinion related to what you've just talked about. Very good. I additionally think there are many problems with the debt. So the reader knows that you are still talking about the aspect that you talked about before. If you have a credit card or even two of them, you'll buy without watching what you spend. For example, so you're giving an example for your opinion, you can buy items even you're out of money for this month because you can pay this by the end of the next month. Very good. So this paragraph is a very good example of a perfect opinion, reason and example. Now you might have seen that I have underlined all of the 4 examples that you have used in this essay. And at the bottom here, I have included several other synonyms that you can use. So when you're going over this essay, can I suggest that you take a look at other ways that we can say, for example, other ways of giving examples for what we've just talked about, okay? Instead of having to keep copying and using the same discourse marker, that would be very good. And again with the word because. Now I've noticed here you've used since, which is a different way of giving a reason, which is very good. But then we have quite a few because throughout the essay as well. So if we can please substitute those also with different ways of giving a reason for your previous sentence, that would be very good as well. Okay? One of the biggest problems, in my opinion, is the bad habits. And again, you can see that in my opinion, which I have put in bold, also I have included some discourse markers for that as well, some synonyms that you could use. The function of the discourse marker that you've chosen is correct. You're giving your opinion and you're clarifying that this is your belief, this is what you think. It's just that we want to try not to keep using the same discourse marker over and over again. Most of the people spend the money for a collection or because they admire a person. For example, I have a cap collections, about more than 20 caps, and I never saw this as a disadvantage because there is a system. But still, it's a bad habit and I spend too much time with it. Again, this is quite a long sentence starting from, for example, so you might want to break it down, possibly, again, using discourse markers to connect your sentences together. And as you can see in this paragraph, we've got two versions of, two uses of because, two instances of because, so maybe a different discourse marker would be used here. However, so now the reader knows that you're moving in a different direction and now you're going to talk about a different side of the coin. There are also advantages in consumerism, yes, and I'm very happy to see that you've included the punctuation there. In my opinion, with punctuation again, there are a lot of what you really need. Everybody consumes food and drinks, even clothes. For example, we need food and clothes to go to work. Yes, so again, if this would be altered, please, and I can see that you have included punctuation. Very good. Also, so we're still talking about the advantages. Included in consumerism is the own house or an apartment, since this is what we need to raise a family and go to work. Absolutely. So here you've given an alternative discourse marker to the word because. Very good. Could we please include our punctuation? Have a comfortable place to enjoy your free time. For example, if we don't rent an apartment, we can't sleep comfortable at night to go with new energy to work. Absolutely. So please, again, if you would pay attention to, for example, and use a different discourse marker for that. The best point in the advantages of consumerism is if we consume a lot, the company makes more money. And in case of that, they can hire more people. Absolutely. For example, if Apple earn more money, they can open a new shop in Switzerland. Absolutely. You've given an example there for your belief. And again, if we could substitute that with a synonym. In conclusion, finally, so you're drawing the essay to a close. If this is an item, there are always advantages and disadvantages. So, as a consequence, we just have to figure out what we really need to use. Absolutely. And again, please don't forget your punctuation. I can see on the whole, you have definitely made a lot of improvements in that you have included a lot more discourse markers than where we started off. You have definitely started using punctuation a lot more, following your discourse markers. And you have clarified for the reader, or in case of a listener, for the listener, how you have connected your sentences together. So I'm very happy to see that you have definitely improved. Thank you so much once again for taking part in this experiment, and I look forward for the very last time as part of this experiment meeting up with you in class and discussing any alterations that you have made in this essay. Thank you very much and well done.